Hey y'all, as the title suggests, we are going to be going over Jagex Moderators that were let go. I just want to say first off that getting fired is no joke, it makes for a horrible situation, and I am by no means trying to make fun of anybody or do anything like that. Jagex Moderators are a fixture of Runescape history, and I just figured it could make for a unique video that people might find entertaining. To tack on to that, not all of these instances were in the individual's control. Budget cuts, among other things, do happen. This is not an exhaustive list, and there are going to be some things that I miss. I do not have internal connections at Jagex either, so if I'm not 100% sure on the reasonings, I will state that during my explanations. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the video sponsor, ExpressVPN. It would be extremely frightening if there were people that kept a log of every website you visit on a daily basis. Unfortunately, that is exactly what happens to most people every day. Most of your online activity can be tracked by your internet service provider, after which that information can be legally sold to other entities without your knowledge. This is where ExpressVPN comes in. ExpressVPN is a premier VPN service that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so that your internet service provider cannot track your online activity. You might be wondering, can't the VPN just sell my information? While that is true that other VPN services have done this in the past, ExpressVPN is incapable of doing so. With their own technology, ExpressVPN have made it impossible for their servers to store data, meaning that your information remains safe. Their infrastructure is audited regularly to ensure the most up-to-date security measures to protect your data. The security and ease of use is why I use ExpressVPN on all of my devices. You guys know I don't take many sponsors, and over 100 videos, this is the second one I've ever taken. Being in the cybersecurity field myself, I'm very passionate about things like this. If you want to give it a try, go to expressvpn.com. You can use my link in the description to get your first 3 months for free. That's expressvpn.com. Without further ado, let's get back into the video. Throughout RuneScape's many years, there have been many Jagex moderators, some of them beloved by the community and others not so much. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the circumstances of each individual Jagex mod's dismissal, some have been let go from the company before they were ready. Let's get the most obvious dismissal out of the way first. Mod Jed. Mod Jed's contributions to the game include some work on old school RuneScape Mobile, Monkey Madness 2, the Revenant Caves, and more. Jed, upon being employed as a Jagex moderator, was a part of the notorious clan Reign of Terror. Without getting into them too deep, they are a clan known for their toxicity, luring, DDoSing, and breaking in-game rules, among other things. To put it simply, DDoSing is the act of flooding an IP address and getting a person booted from the internet temporarily. To DDoS in the first place, a player's valid IP address has to be known. Throughout time, IP addresses change from ones found in old data leaks, and there are ways to change an IP on the fly too. This point will be relevant here shortly. Old school RuneScape held a Deadman mode tournament, an entire game mode separate from the main game that revolves around PvP. At the end of the Deadman mode season, the finalists fight to the death while surviving additional mechanics thrown their way. Early on, this was in the form of fog that did damage over time. The last player standing received $10,000, and some years this number was bumped up to $20,000. Problems started to occur in the December 2016 Deadman tournament, where it seemed like Reign of Terror was getting insider tips on locations and mechanics. The sketchiness ramped up in 2017 when the tournament utilized 1v1 arenas to advance, and toward the end, multiple individuals that were fighting Reign of Terror members conveniently lost connection, with many people in the community believing they were knocked off via DDoS attacks. Remember how I said that any IP addresses obtained from old data leaks would more than likely be invalid? So leaks from third-party software such as game clients and leaks from websites probably wouldn't have the freshest IP addresses available. This means someone had to be giving out live IP addresses of the players for it to be such a persistent problem. To put it short, they would have to have a person on the inside with that sort of access, and who was heavily involved with Reign of Terror who seemed to be benefiting every time from the disconnects and would have this type of access? Mod Jed. This threw a good deal of suspicion Mod Jed's way due to his known involvement as a Reign of Terror member. At some point afterwards, due to the backlash, Mod Jed announced on Twitter that he was leaving Reign of Terror. To add to this suspicion, one-letter usernames in the game are immensely rare. After all, there can only be 26 of them, and the game had been out for 16 plus years at the time. It was noted in 2017 Reign of Terror seemed to have a good deal of one-letter usernames somehow. It came out later that other players were actually having their one-letter usernames taken away from them. Some of those same usernames were then applied to Reign of Terror members for use. One-letter usernames are extremely coveted and can go for billions of GP on the RuneScape black market. Once this was discovered via multiple players coming forward, suspicions again turned to Mod Jed. Players had their usernames returned to them, but I'm assuming there wasn't enough concrete evidence for Jagex to take action against Jed at the time, as he remained with the company. This all changed in the months leading up to September of 2018. Many high-profile accounts worth 10 billion gold or more were hacked. A good portion of these players had bank pins, two-factor authentication, and claimed to have only logged in with their same password while using RuneLite, with the exception of one instance where the user didn't have a bank pin at all. From an outside perspective at the time, it seemed like most of these players coming forward simply weren't as safe as they claimed to be, or that they had real-world traded for thousands of dollars and now they were trying to recover what they had sold through a hacking ruse. More and more high-valued accounts came forward, and eventually the community started to get concerned. To make the rest short, in the days following these individuals coming forward, it was found out that Jed had been dismissed from the company. On September 20th, 2018, Jagex came out with an official statement stating that a member of the old school team was dismissed from employment at Jagex following gross misuse of moderator privileges. They also stated irregular activity on a small number of accounts where wealth was moved around. Jagex gave the affected accounts back their items and GP and stated they were working with police to resolve the issue. Rumors that were later confirmed to be true about Jed being the dismissed employee started floating around, and it was confirmed by Mod Ash that Jed did not work with the company and wouldn't be back anytime soon. In addition to hacking regular accounts that had wealth on them, he would also grant appeals to banned accounts that were known to have massive wealth so that he could steal the gold off of them. As an additional note, on hacked accounts, he would also drop untradables that took hours to get back. He did this on both banned accounts as well as unbanned accounts. To make matters worse, during some of these events, Jed was using other Jagex moderators' credentials to make it look like they were the ones that were doing it. This caused some of Jed's coworkers to be disciplined, and some of them were even on the edge of termination due to Jed's actions.
Just about granting appeals incorrectly. But the collateral of what he was doing beyond that was really quite bad, because he was pretending to be other people, and he was faking his profile as somebody else. The people who are responsible for making those decisions called into meetings and disciplinary meetings, saying, "Look, you've given away this account. You shouldn't have done that." Because that's how strict the password requests are. If you grant password requests, it gets checked, and if it's done incorrectly and too many are done, you end up losing your job. And there were people on the cusp of losing their job because what he was doing, and he didn't give a monkey's about that.
On February 28, 2022, an employment tribunal hearing was held where Jed appeared in person according to the documents. At the conclusion, Jed was awarded just over £1,000 in compensation, roughly $1,250 USD, with the main reasoning for the compensation being the way the investigation into Jed's actions was conducted. During the hearing, it was found that Jed's devices were active anytime one of these suspicious hackings were performed, some of which were traced to an IP tied to Jed's home address. Some of the accounts were hacked within the office at different Wi-Fi access points, with Jed being on camera near the access points almost each time. And finally, Jed was tied to tampering with at least 69 player accounts that had two-factor authentication with his moderator account. None of this evidence mattered, as the investigation/termination was apparently not performed correctly in the eyes of the employment tribunal. Jed is a free man, although it may be difficult for him to get another job as a developer at this point. In 2013, shortly after Old School's release, in an attempt to connect with the community more, Jagex hired 3 RuneScape content creators for video and live streaming positions: SoWrecked, Silent Core, and Regicidal. We'll start off with SoWrecked. SoWrecked was a fairly big content creator in 2013, and many people in the community credited him for Old School RuneScape being released. He was very vocal about wanting old servers after Evolution of Combat dropped, and had many videos discussing the topic as well as polls and petitions for Old School. Due to this fact, he was very well liked in the community at the time. However, he never got to fully have the Jmod experience as controversy surfaced in the week or so before he was to officially become a Jagex moderator. A video titled "So Wrecked Exposed" racked up around 25,000 views around this time. In the video, it shows So Wrecked acting disgruntled and saying many things against the community, employees of Jagex, as well as other content creators. He thought this was a private Skype call, so he felt comfortable venting, and someone in the call recorded it and released it. Alongside the Skype call were private messages of a troll harassing So Wrecked and goading him into a rage. He sent some pretty regrettable messages that couldn't be taken back. It's important to note that the troll in the video had been harassing So Wrecked, hounding him for a long time before he finally blew up. The troll had also been making spam phone calls well after midnight, with some being around 4 a.m. to So Wrecked, as well as sending Chinese food and pizzas to his house. On top of these things, the troll was seemingly goading So Wrecked into reacting so that it could be put into the video. The community started to sour on So Wrecked after these events due to some of the things he said in the Skype call. Some members of the community also thought he was self-righteous. I will say that it is unclear if he was actually let go or if he decided to step down himself because of the backlash. The next Jmod was Mod Silent, aka Silent Core, who actually made it a bit longer than So Wrecked and officially became a Jmod in-game. Mod Silent was hanging out in a PvP world in late 2013 in Sears Village. There was a ragger that kept attacking a streamer while Mod Silent was present. A ragger is just someone who repeatedly and relentlessly attacks someone in a PvP setting, yet risks next to nothing. There was a bit of toxic verbal back and forth between the two parties, and all of a sudden the ragger gets hit for a massive green damage splat as he's running away, killing him. Mod Silent can then be seen saying, "Oops." The ragger steps out and chats some trash talk toward Mod Silent, and the green splat reappears again, killing him for the second time. Mod Silent can then be seen saying, "How do you like it?" before the clip ends some seconds later. Interestingly enough, the clip was featured on future Jmod Chris Archie's popular Countdown series at the time.
Some big gang in Sears, when he noticed a decent amount of people hanging out. So went to go check it out and found out there was a couple of guys fighting. Alright, but then this happened.
Following these events, some people thought it was hilarious and deserved, as the guy being killed was a notorious ragger and pest. However, an equal portion saw this as an abuse of moderator powers and called for something to be done about it. Shortly after the poisoned ragger event, screenshots of Silent Core admitting to advertising a real-world trading website surfaced. Both of these events occurred toward the back of December of 2013. It was shortly after these two events that Silent Core was let go as a Jagex moderator, with the assumption being his termination was related to these events. 2 months later, on February 1st, 2014, Silent Core made a video discussing that he was no longer a Jagex moderator, but at some point the video was deleted. From the replies, it looks like he didn't reveal why he was let go. The third and final creator turned Jagex moderator had a fairly long 5 to 6 year career at Jagex. Regicidal, also known as Mod Lee, was beloved in-game by the majority of the Runescape 3 community. It makes sense as he helped players get into PvM, learn about the game, get some loot, and do mini-games, with the many community events he held on stream. He also made a weekly video for the company. There was no backlash or drama like the previous two creators turned Jagex moderators, so what happened? Initially, I thought he'd left on his own terms, as seen in his departure post in August of 2019 on Twitter. Upon digging further, I found an old Reddit post which linked to a video of Regicidal explaining that he was let go over a Discord call. The latter part makes sense as he was all the way in the United States. It came down to budget and to make room for other things at Jagex. There's no shame in being let go this way, and it was completely out of his control. To tack onto this, as it was a similar situation, the former Jmod, Mod Edge, was also let go around the same time for seemingly the same reason as Mod Lee. Mod Edge was a technical developer that worked on the mining and smithing rework on Runescape 3, as well as the mobile version of the game. The final ex-Jmod featured in this video is Mod Reach. Mod Reach worked in the QA department of Jagex. Now, I'm going to be up front. Nobody outside of Jagex knows 100% why he was let go from Jagex. There has been speculation and rumors by the community over the years, but not much beyond that. I want to reiterate, speculation and rumors. The official Jagex statements were pretty vague overall and didn't explain much. That's not a fault of theirs, as they could probably only say so much. On April 21st, 2015, Jagex came out with a statement on the old school website. It stated that Mod Reach was dismissed from employment at Jagex following an investigation into a serious misuse of moderator privileges. They also stated there were changes to the code made by Mod Reach that were caught by system checks before they were able to make it into the live game and cause damage. It's also been said that his main account, Mad Dan, was banned around the same time. A Reddit post was made by Mod Matt K in order to explain the dismissal and try and clear up some of the rumors. It pretty much just reiterated what could be found in the statement on the RuneScape website. Some of the community speculated that Reach had something to do with abusing a bug at Corp that he had created. I believe the bug they were referring to was a bug with the Granite Maul that could make the Corp not attack a player, essentially granting them some sort of invincibility. Some took it even further and stated that he then set up a bot farm to exploit the Corp bug to farm sigils and then real-world traded the gold to buy a blue Audi. The first part was disproven by Mod Ash, stating that he was the one who accidentally created the bug, not Mod Reach. The second part about the bots and the blue Audi has never been proven or stated by anyone from Jagex. There was a pretty amusing live stream clip that I found while researching where it looks as though Mod Matt K is showcasing the Deadman mode chest.
Of getting.
This is not representative of actual Deadman experience.
Yes, it may not be. A few Dragger. Yeah, Arcane Spirit Shield. There's no Ellies in there. Yes,
there are Ellies in there.
There's some Ellies in there. So
you gotta resist making any jokes, Matt.
What?
I know it's hard.
What car shall we get?
You said, didn't you?
Yeah, I couldn't help it. It's terrible. There we go.
So you're done looting now?
I've done looting. I've looted.
I think Mod Matt K did this merely as a joke based on the rumors that were circulating rather than making a joke based on reality. Reach did an interview on former JMod Shawnee's YouTube channel a few years after the events, but no mention was made of what happened. I guess we'll never officially know. All that's floating around are unconfirmed rumors and simply speculation. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, something a bit different that hasn't been made before on the platform. I'll catch y'all in the next one. This is the RuneScape Historian checking out. Peace, and take care of yourselves.